Welcome back to Breakthrough Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with us. Still here, myself, Mark Anthony Peter, along with Mr. Sean Michael Small. Doesn't he look better in the jacket? I told him to wear it.
I mean, this is functional, folks. It got cold in the studio all of a sudden, and I'm very happy to have the extra layer.
Very nice.
After dealing with the heat, you know, it's a nice pleasant change after somehow deal with the cold in TNT, you know.
I see. Interesting. But anyway, so glad we're back. Glad that you're still with us. And joining us, not in studio, but joining us via Zoom is our spotlight artist for this week. We have with us Kadeem Monsegue. Good morning, Kadeem.
Good morning, Mark. And good morning, Sean. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good, we're doing good. Now, from what I understand, you know, you have to do this via Zoom because you're not here with us. So I've only experienced New York once in the summer, and I'm curious, how hot is it there right now?
It is exceptionally so. And I didn't know the humidity is so high when it is actually summer. So this is my first time actually experiencing the summer. Before that, it was only around winter time. So,
oh,
yeah,
wow.
which I prefer.
Yes, and that the extreme difference is stark.
Really?
It is. It feels hotter there than here. And then, of course, you get snow in the wintertime.
Right. But you know, Trinidad, you experience this dry heat. Here you experience this very blanketing humidity that you can't really explain. You know it's kind of crazy.
I actually think that Tobago, you get the humidity, but I don't feel it, right? You just kind of feel the fact that you sweat very easily because of the moisture in the air. But in New York, in some places, I felt even drier than Trinidad because you get in the right concrete box with the right windows to reflect the sun, and it's just this microwave oven that is the size of a city block. And
right.
But I guess,
and then when you think about it, sometimes you're in these apartments, you don't have wind blowing. If you don't have AC inside, it's like you're literally in some kind of sweat box. It's crazy.
Wow.
So, well, I don't know. I mean, you're off in New York. We were able to shoot a performance of yours here in TNT. I guess the first thing I need to ask is, as an artist, you know, what led you to New York?
What led me to New York? Vacation. I mean, after an entire semester at UTT, I mean, we need to have our breaks, you know? So, I mean, I'm just taking it easy, experiencing what the summer has to offer, trying to check out some music venues while I'm at it. Some concerts, I did get to experience the 11/11 tour by Chris Brown, which was absolutely amazing to me. Hoping to experience the Yeba concert coming up, you know. I'm trying to experience what it's like, you know.
What about Broadway? Any Broadway shows were you able to take in?
Broadway, not yet. Not yet. I might be getting to that.
I am slightly jealous that you were going to a Yeba concert.
Listen.
I have been a huge fan of her for a very, very long time, since I first got, like, vocalist to the gods. So the fact that you are good to get, yes. Yes.
Listen. A man in my position understands he doesn't know everything about everything. He just knows a little bit about some things, right? I don't know every musical act in the world. The sheer amount of music now, right? They're probably like 50% of the musical acts that I would like to listen to, I probably don't even know about.
Oh, well, I mean,
and it's probably true for everybody.
Yes, that is true. And I mean, we did have a slight conversation before we went live about the type of, you know, commercial stuff that is coming out now. And, you know, everyone has their different needs. Everyone has their different niches in the market and things like that. But what I want to get into as well is you a little bit. So you said you just took a semester, the semester has finished, right? So tell us about where you're at now in terms of your music career, in terms of your academic career. What year are you in? What you're studying at UTT?
So I just finished my first year at UTT. I'm currently studying the Bachelor's of Fine Arts program. I would like to specialize in performing. I found myself gravitating a lot towards theater and Broadway style shows. I really want to see myself on those big stages performing. Musically, I would say I'm still discovering what type of music I still want to sing. You know, let's say I decide to have some kind of solo career, or, you know, I am really just discovering as I started UTT. It's like a new discovery for me, to be quite honest.
I find that's interesting that you're only 1 year in, and
Hmm.
you're now apparently discovering your genre, maybe what it is that you would like to focus on and develop. Because to me, when we saw your performance, and you sounded quite polished with regards to your choices and with regards to how you use your voice. I mean, maybe Mark has a different opinion as a music educator.
First of all, you're not going to put me on the chopping block like that.
Right?
First and foremost.
I mean, I'm like, well, if this is year one,
You can listen. Well, something that
Well,
as Kadeem would have experienced, they're different levels and people are at their different levels and stuff like that.
yes, that is very true. Um, I wouldn't say I wasn't exposed. I did music in secondary school. After secondary school, I've been performing well, not performing student, but member of the Jeune Agape Choir. I've been with them for a couple of years. After that, I've been to cruise ships, um, doing entertainment as a job part there as well for a couple of years. But I felt like just doing the entertainment on a cruise ship wasn't enough. I feel like I needed to specialize, because to be able to get into certain positions there, you need to specialize in certain areas and have certain qualifications. So that is what actually led me to UTT. Um, yeah.
so so now, I mean, you're not necessarily closed the door to going back to cruise ships, but it's not as though that's the only plan. You're not like doing all
No.
this just to go back there. You do want to see what could come out once you get a formal education, and maybe kind of put yourself out there in other avenues.
Yes, and to be quite honest with you, um, it really opened my eyes, to what is out there and what people actually do. Apart from just seeing it on TV, seeing such large scale productions live, it's like I could be doing this, and what can I do to get myself there? So, I needed guidance. I think I got some of the guidance that was needed, and I think I took the right approach.
All right. Now in terms of, so obviously you're gonna start thinking about what kind of artist you want to be, and some people will even make the distinction between performer, artist, entertainer, and what type of artist, recording artist, live artist, that sort of thing. Um, and some of them have each of them has their own, each of them has their own value system, quote
Right.
unquote, I would say loosely, right? So an entertainer would someone who's strictly about entertainment will have a sort of different viewpoint of their career than a performer, especially if it's a theatrical performer. What are you most attracted to? Where do you visualize? Where's the vision in terms of your career? What do you see yourself doing? And it may be a premature question as you've only been in year one, but
Right.
given the talent, I mean, some thought would have gone into it, and we all know that a lot happens in year one at university.
Right? A lot. A lot. um, I wouldn't just say it's a premature question, because, to be quite honest, Mark, I'm allowing what I'm doing to shape my direction somewhat. Yes, there may be things that I like and I can see myself doing, but I'm allowing what I'm learning to restructure what I would have seen it to be before, if that makes any sense. I'm really into performing. I love performing. I love the stage. I love having to interact with an audience. But it's not just a matter of interacting, but how do I interact? You know, which is what you tend to learn at university as well.
So you would have seen, and obviously, modern music, listening to music over the course of the years. And you would obviously have artists or people that you look up to, or careers that you would like to model. Maybe. Are there any sort of careers, like people that you look up to? It could be locally, it could be internationally, it could be for different reasons. Who are those icons for you?
Can I say I look up to people vocally more so?
Sure. Yeah.
Right now, there's Cynthia Erivo, I think is her name.
Yes.
And that is mainly because of how she um, performs, how she sings. People may have differing opinions, but that's not really my concern. I love how she recreate herself while on stage, recreate the sound itself, and how she makes it her own. I wouldn't say Beyonce because I mean Beyonce is a performer, and I can pattern myself after her ethic, but I love what Cynthia has to offer right now, and I'm kind of looking into that.
Well, it brushes on an interesting question that Mark asked a lot of our guests on a previous program, Carnival, with regards to how you view success. And I guess the conversation is kind of going in that direction. Commercial success or artistic success, to kind of put it simply, you know, what is it that you think right now, at least, is more important to you? To develop your talents and skills and to become someone with a respectable career whose peers, you know, even if the public doesn't know him, his peers will remember him and appreciate him, right? And of course, there will be those in the public who can't appreciate, you know, good execution. Or I mean, you know, Beyonce has all the commercial success as well as others, you know, and it's not to say she's not skilled. Bruno Mars, I would say, put in that category as well. Very talented, very skilled.
Very.
What are you looking for?
I would say artistic success. I think once you have artistic success, the media success follows. Um, yeah. So if you're great at your craft and you work on developing and honing all the skills necessary, and I mean it's never over because it's continuous. It's a continuous process. Once you're able to produce artistically and develop yourself artistically, I think everything else follows. I mean, that's my opinion.
Interesting. All right. So that's very interesting because you would usually see a case where, and sometimes you'll see career start off where it starts off as one thing, right, and then it sort of deviates a little bit. I think you can easily also equate it to university life. Like you enter university thinking one set of things, you go through year one thinking a whole other set of things, and by year three, year four, your entire perspective has changed. And then you need to decide, like, okay, if there's postgraduate academics, like, how where do I specialize? And in a case where you like everything, right, and you really want to try everything, that can be very hard. But as a young performer, what would you say to, you know, with the experiences that you've had, how would you advise, like, let's say you're going into year two or you're in year three, and a year one student is coming in, right? A year one vocal student. What's one of the things that you would say that you've learned the most that you would sort of pass on to them?
Have a goal and know what direction you want to head in. Things are subject to change over time, but I think once you set a goal based on the circumstances you're presently in, it sets you up for the right outcome. So having your mind in every place, I don't think is going to be helpful. So it's really important to have a goal and to set a goal and to work towards the goal, achieve the goal and move on. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. So now I'm going to ask another side of the question. What's some really good advice? It may be the same thing, but what's some other really good advice that you received from, let's say, like your lecturers or your mentors or stuff like that? What are some of the things, or little buffs, because we know lecturers like to buff sometimes.
God. Oh my gosh. Listen, I must mention Glenda Collins. I love that woman with my heart because she has been squeezing the best out of me when I didn't see it in myself. And she constantly says to me, why is it so difficult for you to see the best in yourself and to live that? So it, how do I say it? I think it's a matter of direction, and you need to know the direction that you want to head in, and you need to stay true to that. Once you stay true to that direction, I think you're on the right track.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it sounds almost as though you are not entirely confident in your ability. And I do have to ask, this is always interesting to me, because most people would assume performers will be extroverts and they're just natural on a stage and comfortable. That's
Nope.
not you.
I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm not an extrovert. I am somewhat on both sides. I like my time and I like my personal space. I am not too much of a crowd person, but once I make the conscious decision to be outside of my home, trust and believe, I'm gonna have a good time. But confidence is something you build, and I would say honestly, it is something that I had to work hard towards. With my ability, because then you would see other persons producing certain things and you wonder how, you know. So actively working towards what I'm working towards in terms of skill and what UTT is showing me right now is definitely working on my confidence level.
Well, Mark asked you with regards to the lessons that you learned locally, but going back to your experience, because you were working on cruise ships before, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Give me one aspect of something that you took away that you felt was valuable, because I know that when I went back to tertiary education, I had more experience in the workplace and there were a lot of things that I could add to discussions when it came time to go back to the classroom. What's one aspect of that experience that you were able to take away and then it has continued to stay with you and you've maybe even passed it on to others?
I would say two things. It's never personal and be as flexible as possible.
Okay.
The more flexible you are, the more open you are to opportunity. Um, but in your flexibility, you need to understand what works for you as well. So yeah, it's never personal and be as flexible as possible.
Okay, that's interesting, and I hope a lot of the young artists out there are listening. This is some really, really great advice, and from such a talented and y'all are going to see that just now. Like when we were in the recording, when we were doing the recording of this performance, and after the first take, he's like, "You sure you don't want to do it over?" I was like, "It's fine." We were all blown away.
I was like, what?
You see, you might not be aware of this, but you have that quality where other people in the room kind of get annoyed at how good it sounds, you know, because it just sounds so good.
Yeah.
And like, why does it sound so good? Chill.
Thank you.
Take a chill pill
Thank
now,
you very much.
You know? Just saying.
Sean telling somebody to chill.
Just saying. You know?
Oh my God. Kadeem, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was a pleasure having you on. I hope you had a great time. Yeah.
And I really appreciate you guys. I love the humor. I love the personality. Thank you so much.
Well, you know, we do a little bit of performance as well, you know, just a little bit, you know, we have to brighten things up. And
I know that.
And I hope you do get to see some Broadway shows, because it's something about the production values of those, with those pre-built stages and sets combined with these talents.
Yes.
And I mean, you could probably end up there. Probably I'll step up from a cruise
I'm
ship.
not saying probably. I intend to
There
end
you
up.
go. There you go.
Very nice, very nice. We're looking forward to it. Kadeem, thank you once again.